Let's laugh together at poor Alice, who cannot get her head out of buying the Natasha Denona Gold palette. There was a Sephora sale, 20% off all makeup, and I resisted. I resisted so much because 90 euros for an eyeshadow palette with the size of my eyeshadow collection would have been a irresponsible thing to do. So I resisted, but I can't sleep at night because I think about it. Not that bad, but I think about it every day. So welcome to another video, and it's a duping the vibes video for the Natasha Denona Gold palette. We are here for me, maybe for you, but also for me. I needed this and I thought I'd share it. Maybe it helps someone else. Just inspiration to go to your collection, look at what you have and convince yourself you don't need something that maybe you do. Now, this is not a dupes video precisely because I actually made this my own palette a little bit more green heavy or teal heavy because that's what my heart desires, and something I need to create the textures and the interesting shininess that the Natasha Denona Gold palette has. So it's not an exact dupe palette, don't come for me. I'm not, I want those vibes in my collection now, and I made a palette for it. Now, the Natasha Denona Gold palette was released, I think, 2 years ago by now. It has 15 shades with the big pans of Natasha Denona, and it costs anywhere between 130 and 115 euros. I've seen it. It's 115 on Sephora Italy and Sephora France, but it's 130 on Look Fantastic and Feel Unique. So the price, oh, and Cold Beauty. That said, it's a lot of money, and I have just bought at the end of a few months ago the Metropolis palette, which was a conscious decision, and I forgot about this actually, was a conscious decision to purchase this guy because there's more eyeshadows, smaller pans but more shades, and a lot of the blues and golds that Natasha Denona is famous for. Then again, it doesn't have as many special shades as I feel the gold has. And I've seen the Natasha Denona Gold in front of me a few times. I've been at Sephora in Italy, touched it, had a little moment. I just went there. And then my friend Mariam, when she was here for that cool collab we did, I'll link it here. I just still love that, still have such fond memories of that day. When Mariam came here, Mariam brought her gold palette and I touched it again. And I had the same fainting feeling. So I'm really obsessed with the palette, as you can tell. And I still don't want to buy it, and I decided to make a palette that would resemble it. I've also always been upset by the fact that that palette has the blue, greens, the teals are a little bit desaturated and not as vibrant as I'd like them to be. So here in my palette, I kind of switched that up, I feel like. So here is the eyeshadow palette that I put together to dupe the vibes of the Natasha Denona palette. It's also what I'm wearing on my eyes right now. I have the greens on my crease, a little bit of the mustard to blend that out, and I have, I think, 4 shimmers on my eyelid, and that is to recreate this wet look that the Natasha Denona palette gives you. I feel like it does give you. And there's been quite a few of people that I don't know if I can call my friends, but I follow and I chat with on Instagram. I wish I could call everyone a friend because I love it. I wish we could all meet. But a lot of people on Instagram have been doing like 2 looks, 3 looks, 1 palette, and the Natasha Denona Gold has come up a lot. Mariam has done it, and a few other people. I can't remember the names, but I'll put the usernames in the description down below in the video. And I've been itching, really itching. So here we are. I will start by saying a lot of these shades are from the Metropolis palette, and that is because indeed I remember that I bought the Metropolis to also dupe, let's say, the gold. So I'm gonna start with those. We have this shade right here, which is Orium from the Natasha Denona Metropolis, and this is their only actually like crystal fancy duochrome chunky glittery shade in the palette, and it had to be in here. Then I have the teal cream to matte that is called Symbol right here. Then I have a bronze shimmer. You know how I was saying I don't have bronze shimmers? This is a perfect bronze shimmer. What's wrong with me? Why haven't I played with Natasha Denona Metropolis lately? I have Azoic, which is this beautiful brown, but with like a bit of a greeny undertone right here. And overall, I think those really give a little bit of a tone to this palette. Then I have this beautiful Cliona Cosmetics Glitter Multichrome in Corrosion. This was a gift from my friend Claudia. And yeah, this is fantastic, absolutely beautiful. I have a few pressed pigments in here. This one right here is Liquid Mirror by Neve Cosmetics that I pressed myself. And then here we have a few Tami Tanuka, these two, that are multi or duochrome multichromes. They are very shifty and nice. We have some Makeup Geek old eyeshadows. This guy right here is Houdini, and then we have Autumn Breeze for the two shimmery teals, and we have some of the new ones that you see here in the square pans from the rebranded eyeshadow that they sent me. And then this guy right here is from Colourpop, and it's the only Colourpop shade. It's called Night Show, and it's a beautiful goldy bronze shade. Let's start with the swatches, because I feel like that will give you a bit more of an idea. And I'm gonna start with the fancy textured shades that would have to dupe the more like limey green and golds. And these guys right here are the Natasha Denona Orium from the Metropolis palette. This guy right here is Corrosion. Look at that shot. And then this guy right here is from Tami Tanuka, but I don't remember the name. The Naughty Novice. This is how they look. They are quite similar, but they all have different shifts and different amount of brightness, let's say. I really think Corrosion is one of those really in your face shades, whereas for example the Naughty Novice has this darker base that looks really, really pretty. And you can see that they all though have a like a gold green shimmer on top and then a warmer base. From the Metropolis palette, this guy right here is more of a glitter top coat, so it's quite sheer, but it really gives a really nice shine to the eye. Another shade that would fit in here, but I felt like would have been a bit redundant with these three in the palette, is Tea Garden by Colourpop. So this one didn't make the cut because I wanted a 15 pan eyeshadow palette and not 16. But this is what it looks like. And as you can see, it's very similar to Naughty Novice, just with a little bit less of a sheen. But then again, Naughty Novice is a loose pigment that I pressed. So if you are wondering or doubting, I think Tea Garden is a good option. Unfortunately for Colourpop, they have become a little bit not redundant, but they don't make these pressed in a pan super shimmery shades. They do make them in their Super Shock shadows, but I can't bear to have so many singles in those spots. So for me, that is why Tea Garden isn't really my best bet, whereas these other three are. Moving on to the shimmery teals, because that is something that in the Natasha Denona, to me, was a bit disappointing. The shade looks a little bit muted, not as pigmented in the base, and a slightly gray tone. So I went with two regular shimmers, and these are Houdini and Autumn Breeze from Makeup Geek, because I feel like they're different. Like one is a little bit lighter and more green, and one is a little bit darker and more blue. Another really good one would be Ether. Two other really good ones for this palette would have been these guys from Lethal Cosmetics. So we have the greeny shade, which is Ether, and then the more blue shade with it, which is Equilibrium. But you can see that one is more green and one is more blue. So maybe the blue one would have fit in here, but I thought I'd go with these Makeup Geek ones because they spoke to me. And then I wanted a topper shade to make this glittery topper for the teal shade that is in the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette, and this is Soul Gatherer by Tammy Tanuka, again a pressed pigment. I'll leave the link to my video in the up here in the cards for you to go see, because I did a tutorial pressing these, and they, as you can see, I still use them and love them, especially now that I rearranged all of my eyeshadow palettes, all of my single eyeshadows into color groups. First of all, it was a mess to find because my greens and my teals and my like goldy tones and then my lime greens are all mixed up, but nevertheless, here is the Tammy Tanuka eyeshadow called Soul Gatherer, and this one has like green and teal and beautiful. Like if I look at it from here, it's much more blue than if I look at it from here, which is much more green. It's beautiful. I am wearing Houdini and then this guy on top in the center of my lid, and it's gorgeous. Her pigments are really, really beautiful. I buy the minis, and so far I haven't had any issues with what is it called? Customs, and that is because I think she sends them as samples, so there is no value declared at customs. That might be illegal, but I'm not sure. Whatever works for me and for her. So these are the fancy shimmers in this palette that I put together myself, and to be honest, this is all I need. This is also all I want from the gold palette. It's just this beautiful shiftiness that I have. And that was the most important message to myself, is to know that I have this, I don't need more. Let's add the last 3 shimmers, I guess down my wrist right here. I like that in the gold palette there's a shade Sparks, which is just a beautiful glittery top coat in a light neutral, almost cool tone shade. I don't have like something like that exactly. I went for something very, very shiny, and that is Liquid Mirror by Neve Cosmetics. Also something I pressed myself, and it's a bit of a warm, maybe peachy undertone, very, very shimmery shade, and it's beautiful. I think it's really beautiful, and it gives me a little bit of this, if I want to go not on the gold route but a little bit more neutral with the blues, or just, you know, an everyday look. This is so beautiful for all over the lid, the inner corner. Then I wanted something that was like a gold but a dirty gold, and that is Night Show by Colourpop, this guy right here, and it's more of a like a brass, I would call it, this guy, and yeah, it's just a warm toned shimmer that is really pretty. I'm looking in the viewfinder, I'm sorry you guys, just to make sure that you can see it. And then I wanted the bronze, which is from the Metropolis palette instead, and this is much more dark and with a little bit of a, I don't know, it's like not an olive but like a dirty undertone. And I think this one covers very nicely all the shimmers. What I'm missing here, oh, I have still shades on my hand. What I'm missing here is the True Gold, which is I think called Oro in the gold palette. I'm not sure, I don't have it pulled up right now, but I didn't think I have that shade with that shimmer. There's a few golds in here. This guy right here is very beautiful. This guy right here is much more orangey and warm, so any of these would work, but I feel like Night Show from Colourpop does the trick and is enough, especially because these are heavy on the goldy side anyways, and I don't really need, like if I want that one with that one on top would probably do the same effect. So I'm happy with this and beautiful shimmers, and I feel like with the golds the Metropolis has some options for me as well. Let's look at the mattes. For the mattes, I went with a classic Tiki Hut from Makeup Geek, and actually I went with a whole row of the more yellow toned neutrals from Makeup Geek. This is what Tiki Hut looks like, and it reminds me a little bit of those camel tones. And to show you, this is the Makeup Geek neutral palette. I took pretty much these 3 right here, all 3 very nice yellow toned, let's say, neutrals. Then we have the shade Deja Brew. These don't swatch fantastic, so you're gonna have to pardon me if I try to do it better by layering them. They apply really well on the lid, but they don't swatch super well. They're very silky. And that's Deja Brew. That's a mid-toned brown. And then I have the super dark shade, which is Coffee Before Talkie. Coffee Before Talkie, yes. And that is a very dark, yeah, that swatches horribly, but you can see them also on my fingers. Maybe it's better. A very dark brown. Doesn't swatch well, my apologies. Maybe I can take it up with a brush. They're a bit more depth, which is better. So these three guys are my three neutrals. I think with these I'm good, I'm happy. Then I have added the two mattes from the Natasha Denona Metropolis. This one is a Zoic and it's a cream to powder. And you can see that it has this yellowy undertone. And the reason why it looks a little bit like it's a double, but it's as if these two were on top of each other. And I love the texture of these creams because you can really shear them out so well and build them up to make them darker. You see, I think this is a perfect shade for this palette. I could think of letting go of Tiki Hut if you look at this, but I'm wearing Tiki Hut now in the crease and I couldn't do that with the cream to powder by Natasha Denona because it's very pigmented. So it first goes on quite strongly and then you can blend it out. So if you only want a light wash of color, I think a powder is better. Then I have the two blues. And let's start with the one from the Natasha Denona Metropolis. This guy right here, which is a beautiful teal. It's incredible. This is all the green that you see on my eyes blended out. And again, because these are so nice and creamy, you can keep it built up or blend it out. And my knuckle doesn't help, but you can blend it out to a more sheer shade, a lighter shade. And I love this for that. And then I picked Time Travel from Makeup Geek because it's a little bit darker. It's a powder and it will go nicely for intensifying, whereas if you intensify the Natasha Denona, you can only get so dark, whereas this guy goes a bit darker and a little bit more muted, and it just gives me extra depth. So those were the swatches of my makeshift Natasha Denona Gold palette. What do you guys think? Is it good enough? Those of you, Mariam for example, who have the gold palette, or Letizia, what do you think? Am I capturing the right things? Is this the right way, or do I still need the gold palette? I know Mariam will just tell me just buy it because you should treat yourself. But I feel like I have a lot. So what I'm excited about is to keep this palette on my desk, play with it a little bit more. Today I'm so happy with the look that I achieved, and it has this shine, Natasha Denona shine. It has the green, it has the gold. I love this look. I didn't take a video of how I created it, so I'm sorry. If you want to see that, let me know. I can probably recreate it and put it up on Instagram, but you'll see a bunch of looks with this palette, I think, on Instagram anyways, because I'm really I haven't been excited in a while. I'm really excited, and yeah, super happy with these. And I have to say, we're at the end of the video, so I can say that I'm kind of more excited about this palette that I made myself than of the new Nabla palettes that I bought. And the review of that you've probably already seen. They're really beautiful. They're really nice. But this is my color story. This is me, right? The warm yellow tone browns and then the greens with a little bit of gold. This is so much more me than the Nabla cuties. And that's unfortunate because I love Nabla, but I feel like me and the creative director don't, or whoever is doing the creation of the colors, don't have the same taste. I don't know if that is possible, but that's happened with their other palettes as well. They just don't, I don't know, they don't catch my eye. And that's also why I often get overwhelmed or underwhelmed with this guy, is because there's too much stuff. And all of these oranges I don't wear very much of. I do love all the greens. So maybe I should just rearrange it and then it would make things more... Oh, that I should really do. I'll probably do that next to play, but for now, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me while I try to convince myself that I don't need this palette. I'm really excited for this, so I think that for now I'm okay. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you think I should be buying the palette regardless and I'm missing out because it's really the best thing ever. If you have Metropolis and Gold, let me know what you think. I know I just watched Mel Thompson's review of all of their, or like ranking of all of her Natasha Denona palettes, and she actually put Metropolis on top because of these cream to powders mattes, these guys, and I agree, they're just fantastic. Fantastic. Anyways, blabbing too much. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe if you're not already. I love you guys. I'm happy. I've had coffee. I'm gonna go. Thank you. Bye.